Welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3422A, and today's date is August 8th, 2024, and the title of the episode is Trump says we're close to a 1929-like depression. Russia legalizes Bitcoin mining. Let's talk about protecting our wealth. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. But there's one asset that stands the test of time, and that is gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments, streamlined process, and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. Go to x22gold.com, that's x22gold.com, or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see that they have pushed their agenda, and their agenda is going to lead to a crash in the system. Trump, he was giving a press conference. He let everyone know that we're looking at a 1929-like type of depression. And I do believe we are in the recession right now. They have manipulated the numbers. They're trying to make the people think that everything is fine when the people realize that it really isn't. And we could see just from Canada, Canada is hurting because the deep state, the central banks, they really push their agenda out there. And people now, they're having a very, very difficult time. And you can see inflation. You can see that people can't make ends meet. And it is just getting worse and worse for the people out in Canada. And once again, it's not just Canada, but it's all the countries around the world, even here in the United States. And eventually what's going to happen is the entire economic system is going to completely and utterly fall apart. Because remember, this is the plan of the deep state. This is the plan of the central bankers, the World Economic Forum. They want to end their old system, and they want to bring us into their new system. And I do believe Trump had them do this on their watch, so they actually are responsible for everything that is happening. But once again, when you look at Canada, you can really see the toll it is taking on the people. The Copisi letter on X put this out and said, Canadians are drowning in taxes. The average Canadian family now spends approximately $47,000 per year on taxes and $13,000 per year on food. That's 3.6 times more on taxes than food. The average Canadian family also now spends approximately $24,000 per year on shelter. In other words, the average Canadian family now spends double their annual shelter costs on taxes. Since 2010, the average annual tax bill for a Canadian family is up a whopping 57%. Truly concerning numbers. The average Canadian spends 12 times more on taxes than clothing. Spending on taxes in Canada has disproportionately increased relative to other categories. Many are calling for tax cuts as the trend worsens. But again, when the government can't make ends meet, when the system breaks down, and they need more and more taxes to keep the system running, what happens? Can you cut taxes? Well, something's got to give, and I do believe what's going to give is the central bank system, the economy, the way we know it today. And once the people realize that this system does not work for them, which I do believe they're already starting to do, this is when people are going to demand change. And they're going to say, why is this all happening? I do believe the United States is going to lead the way in showing the world why all this is happening. And you have to really go back to 1913 when they went ahead and they introduced the private West Central Bank, which was the third private West Central Bank in this country. They got rid of the other two because it wasn't a benefit to the people. Listen, if it was a benefit to the people, they would have kept them. They would have kept the first one. And they would have said, this is incredible. Doesn't everyone love it? But the people of this country, the patriots, they knew that this wasn't going to benefit the people of this country. And this is why they got rid of it. This is why I do believe Trump is going to get rid of the third one. And yes, it will start here in the United States. And when the people realize that it's time to get rid of the private West Central Bank system, this will spread across the globe. But you have to remember, the central bank system, their system depends on debt. It's built on debt. It's a debt instrument. Everything that you do revolves around debt. When have you ever heard of a system that operates in the debt realm? It makes no sense whatsoever. Nobody says, hey, you know something? I want an economy that just keeps creating debt, because you know why? Debt's incredible. I love debt. I love when the value of the currency continually declines. I love it when they have to increase taxes because we can't make ends meet. We can't pay the bills because of interest on the money that we borrowed. It makes no sense. But remember, they had a very long time to convince people that this is normal. So when you really look at the debt of this country, it's absolutely unbelievable. The U.S. now has a record $17.8 trillion in household debt, a record $12.5 trillion in mortgages, a record $1.6 trillion in auto loans, a near record of $1.6 trillion in student loans. It'd be a lot higher if Biden didn't keep canceling it. But again, the cancellation of the debt to student loans, that's going to go to another category. A record $1.1 trillion in credit card debt. Total household debt is now up 53% over the last 10 years, and total credit card debt is up 50% since 2020. Meanwhile, delinquency rates on credit cards and auto loans are nearing the highest we've seen since 2008. Consumers are fighting inflation with debt. We know that this can't end well, and we're in a debt system. Actually, if you look at your pieces of paper that the Federal Reserve note hands out, it's a Federal Reserve note. It's an instrument of debt. And this is how this country operates. But sooner or later, the entire system will not be able to handle the debt load, and the system will come crashing down. And this is what the central bankers had planned all along. Again, they use an event to cover up what they're trying to do. They thought the pandemic was the perfect event. Then they found out that it wasn't, and people went back to work, kids went back to school, and they were trapped in all this. So they went back to their 16-year plan, which was, hey, let's bring everyone to war, and we'll have an attack on our financial system, and we'll just blame it on that. And then once the war hits, everyone's going to forget what happened, and we can just restart the system and rebuild it the way we want. The problem is it's not going to happen this time around, because Trump, he has the ultimate weapon. It's called peace. And we could see that the Bank of Japan, they've been trying to stop what has been happening in the markets, and they are pretty much unsuccessful at this point. It doesn't mean everything's going to come down right now, but I do believe as we get closer and closer to the presidential election, yes, we're going to see the internals of the economy fall apart. It's going to look like we're in a depression, which I do believe we will be in a depression, and we're going to see the market really start to implode on itself. The Kobeissi letter on X put this out and said the Bank of Japan completely backtracked on their interest rate policy in order to save the market. And all they got was a 3% bounce in USD JPY with 130 plus point reversal in the S&P 500. It's going to be a rough session for the Nikkei 225. Absolutely. And when you really look at this, Trump really trapped the Federal Reserve in all of this. Remember, they really wanted to bring the economy down around Trump. They didn't want this to happen on their watch, on Biden's watch, or wherever else is going to be in the White House or running for the presidency. They didn't want this to be reflected upon them. They wanted everything on Trump. It'd much be easier to say, listen, hey, Trump brought the entire system down. He's responsible for the crash. He's the one who caused this. But again, they tried multiple times while he was in the White House. Let's talk about protecting our wealth. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. But there's one asset that stands the test of time, and that is gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diverse
Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments' streamlined process and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. Go to x22gold.com. That's x22gold.com or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind.
It just didn't work out. Trump turned the tables on them and now trapped the Fed in their own agenda. Trapped Biden and Obama and Hillary Clinton, Soros and the rest in their own agenda. So the Fed right now is in a lose-lose situation. The Kobesi letter on X put this out and said, if the Fed cuts rates aggressively right now, markets tank further and they risk a resurgence of inflation. Cutting rates will only make the yen carry trade unwinding worse, likely sending the NASDAQ into bear market territory. If the Fed doesn't cut rates right now, recession fears will continue to mount. No rate cut means more worry about rising unemployment, which is now at a 3-year high. The Fed must pick between market inflation, instability, or a potential recession. And even if they pick the right former, we may still end up in a recession. It's going to be a bumpy road ahead. Well, I do believe we're already in a recession because remember, they're basing the economy on manipulated numbers. And if you remove the manipulation, what does it show? It shows that we're already in a recession. What they're really saying is we're going to be in a depression. This is going to go way beyond a recession. So really, Trump has trapped them. And you know what the Biden administration is going to do. Remember, this is a presidential election, and they want to win. So can they win where everyone's worried about a recession? Or do they have to convince everyone, we're not in a recession. Everything is fine. Look at the numbers. The numbers are showing that the economy is booming. And if the economy is booming, the Fed has no excuses. They must bring down the rates to show everyone that the economy is doing well. And what do you think they're going to end up doing? Most likely, they will cut the rates in September. And that's when everything starts to fall apart. Yes, in the beginning, it's going to look great. They're going to cheer, they're going to yell and say, oh, we did it, our economy is fantastic. The Fed just proved it. They cut the rates, I don't know, 50 basis points, whatever they're going to do. And then a couple weeks later, people are going to go, what's going on here? Why is the market starting to fall apart? Why is it dipping again? Something's happening. Something doesn't seem right. People out in the real world are going to notice something isn't right. And everything will start to fall apart. And what's very interesting is that JP Morgan, they see a 35% chance of a U.S. recession this year, which means we're already in a recession. And what they're really saying is we're looking at a depression, a 35% chance right now of a depression. And Trump, he was giving a press conference today, and he also put this out on Truth. He said, this election is about the economy, inflation, open borders, illegal immigration, respect for our nation, preventing World War III, and a 1929-style depression. So Trump, when he was giving the press conference, he let everyone know, we are very, very close to a 1929-like depression and a world war. Because if you look at history, you can see every time the economy really comes down, we end up going into a war when they want to change the system. And that's exactly what happened like in 1929. They wanted to change the system. Yes, they implemented the central bank back in 1913, but they wanted the country to become the reserve currency of the world. And the entire system was crashing under the weight of debt and everything else that was happening out in England because they were the reserve currency. So they started this great war. And again, what happened? They restarted the system. The reserve currency moved to this country, and they started everything all over again until 1970. 1970, we came off of the gold standard and we went to the petrodollar system. So the central bank could take control and they can breed corruption. I mean, there was already corruption, but they really started to ramp this up. And because in the end, what did they really want? They wanted this country to lose the war. They wanted the Constitution removed. And they wanted to then start the system in another area. And they wanted complete and utter control of the system, which is the Great Reset, the central bank digital currency. But we could see at this point, they're going to have a major, major problem. Because again, as we approach the presidential election and people see the depression and the people experience the depression and people feel and see the market come down, this is going to be a major, major problem for the Fed, for the Biden administration. And this is going to be a major, major problem, especially for all those individuals that were installed in other countries, because if the U.S. market comes down, what do you think happens around the world? Everything comes down. And all those installed leaders, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, which means the people, they're going to be voting in a completely different way. And I do believe Trump, the Patriots, are going to use this to their advantage to shift everyone away from the private central bank, because, again, we need to move away from the central bank system the way we have it today. Because if we don't, we're just going to have the same thing over and over and over. And this is why, going back in time when they had the first private central bank system, they didn't renew the charter, because they knew that it wasn't good for the country. Andrew Jackson, he campaigned on getting rid of the second private central bank system because he knew that it didn't benefit this country. Trump, he's getting rid of the third one. And I do believe this is why he's embracing Bitcoin. He's always embraced gold. And I do believe we're going to see both of them come into play. I do believe Bitcoin, since it's an electronic system, it will be very, very easy to replace the SWIFT system and move into a system that no private central bank system controls, which means it's completely decentralized and every country can use it. And what's very interesting is that, and Watcher Guru put this out, is that Putin just signed a law legalizing cryptocurrency mining in Russia, which means I do believe in the end, all these different countries, they're going to make a go of Bitcoin. And remember, Trump wants to be the leader in mining. He wants to be the leader in owning the Bitcoin. And I do believe you're going to see every country start to ramp up on this. And I do believe the tariffs that are going to be paid here to this country, I do believe the countries are going to have alternatives. You can pay it in gold, you can pay it in Bitcoin, or you can pay it in the national currency of the United States. And I do believe most of these countries will probably use Bitcoin because it will just be a lot easier. Some might use gold. But again, you could see how this is all going to play out in the end. I do believe Trump and the Patriots and other countries, they're setting up for this. And this will allow countries, especially in the emerging market, they won't have to borrow currency. They won't be in all this debt. And lives in those countries, they will get better and better and better. And I do believe we're going to see a lot of countries all of a sudden pick themselves out of poverty. And you're going to see countries that are going to do very, very, very well. I do believe the United States is going to do very, very well, because once people start to use currency that is not issued by the private central bank system, we're going to see something very, very different. And a country that's not borrowing the currency anymore, well, that just helps the people. It just helps the government. It helps the infrastructure. It helps pretty much everything. But we have to get there first. And I do believe to convince the people and get the people on your side, you have to show the people the truth. That these people that are in government right now and the Federal Reserve, they've been lying this entire time. And when the Depression hits, the people are going to realize that, yes, these people are the liars. The Fed is the liar. Because remember, they're telling us everything's okay. They're going to cut the rate. They're going to convince everyone that everything's perfect. When everything falls apart, that's when everyone realizes, hey, these people never told us the truth. Trump was telling us the truth. Now, there might be some people that say, something, I'm not going to believe it no matter what, because again, they're brainwashed. But again, there's going to be other events that occur, and they're going to be hit over and over and over. And I do believe this is going to wake up a lot of people. It's like slap after slap after slap. And these people are going to really wake up. And eventually, most of the people, I'm not saying all of them, not 100%, but most of the people, they're going to come to the realization that they've been lied to, and they're going to understand who the true enemy is. And once that happens, it is game over for the deep state, the central bank, and the World Economic Forum. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.